Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unfiltered Tales Season 5, Episode 7. I am your host, Rod, and today we're keeping it on the East Coast. We're coming all the way from up north, New Jersey, with Miss Candace Ramsey. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm all right. I'm
Mhm.
all right. Just a slow day. A little cold outside today than normal, than what it was this
Mhm.
weekend. So, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm Candace Ramsey. I'm the founder of Mahogany Coaching and Consulting. And in my coaching practice, I work with predominantly introverted women
Mm-hmm.
who maybe find themselves stuck or unable to navigate their work or their relationships or their friendships. And all of those things. And I also do some wellness work. So I do some sound baths and meditation and Reiki.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you said introvert. How do you now that's kind of impossible. How do you get an introverted woman out of her shell like that to become
Mm.
semi extrovert?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, those are just traits. Listen, I'm an introverted woman. And so, when I run into people and I'm at networking events, when I tell them I'm an introvert, they're like, there's no way, Candace. There's absolutely no way you're an introvert. So you can pull out some of those traits and you can pull out some of those qualities and you can present as an extrovert and then go home and crash and, go to sleep, have a glass of wine, do whatever it is that makes you feel like you're rejuvenating your energy. So introversion is not about being shy. And I think that that's a misconception that a lot of people have is that, we don't want to be around people. The truth is just that social interactions drain us. It just makes us a little bit more tired than the extrovert who can go on all night around parties and all kinds of folk.
So that is actually true. Being an introvert
Mhm.
with trying to get extrovert qualities that you actually have a battery that's like
Yes.
it's draining. So when you speak to these women, do they walk into these situations already like, well, listen, I got about 15, 20 minutes in here before I need to get out of here?
Mhm.
Is that possible?
You mean when they're at an event or they're going somewhere where they're going to be around a
Hmm.
bunch of people? So
Yes.
let me tell you a little bit of a secret. I'm an introverted woman. Let me tell you, when we walk into an event, we
Hmm.
already look for paths. We're like, okay, the door is over here. So if I'm sitting over here at the drink table, or if I'm, over here talking to some folk, then when my battery starts to run low and I start to find myself, needing to step away for a little bit, then I know how to get to the door and go out and rejuvenate my energy. And if it's something where, we kind of have to be there and we have to show up, maybe it's for our career. Sometimes all it takes is a little bit of time of stepping away, getting outside, maybe going to our car, and doing something where we can just get away from the noise and the energy. And then we can come back and, continue to navigate the rest of the function.
So how would a person like that situation being in a social environment handle social overstimulation? Like what strategies can actually help a person recharge and not feel so awkward?
Mm. Well, feeling awkward is something completely different. So an introvert can still be, somebody charismatic and somebody who can navigate a room. Again, I got a consulting background. So before I became a full-time entrepreneur, I was a consultant. I had to navigate rooms and I had
Hmm.
to just know how to work it. And people never knew that I was an introvert. So
Hmm.
awkwardness, I think, is something different. But when you go into a room and you're feeling that sense of overstimulation, right? It's
Hmm.
just too much going on, too many people. I would say some strategies that work is maybe finding a space of comfort. And so if you're there with another person, somebody that's familiar, somebody that then engage in a one-on-one interaction with them versus kind of a group conversation. If you ever been inside some of these environments, networking spaces, people
Hmm.
kind of congregate together. They may be about six people stand and having a group conversation. Engage with one person. That'll help you be able to navigate the environment a little bit better, and then take different breaks. And so, find your way over to the refreshment table so that you can take a break away from some of the people and just, refresh your body, you refresh your mind. So grab a refreshment, hang out at the table for a little bit, and then go back and engage with people. So there's little strategies that you can do just to kind of get you away from the sense of overstimulation and help you ground yourself. And if you can do it without, looking outwardly awkward, then you can also do breathing exercises. And I think one of the ways that you can do that is by breathing through your nose versus in and out of your mouth. Do it through your nose. Nobody can even tell that you're taking time to pause and breathe and reground yourself.
Well, you said mid sentence that you're with somebody, familiarize yourself with somebody. So you go to a person. So you say you have an extrovert person that's outgoing who loves to
Mhm.
talk to people, and then you have this introvert. And I know you said familiarize yourself with someone, but what if that
Mhm.
person has to step off for a little bit?
Mhm. Yeah, well, the
How
intent is
does
not
that
to
person
latch
maintain?
yourself onto that person. The intent is if I need a break, right? If I need to step away from the large group dynamic that's happening, then I'm going to find this one
Hmm.
person that I can engage in a conversation with. And then if that person needs to step away, then by this time you should have stepped away from that large group dynamic and been able to, bring yourself back down a little bit to where you can engage with the larger groups.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
So do you set now you're back by yourself. So do
Mhm.
I set communication boundaries effectively to, protect my peace and my energy?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think you can always set communication boundaries, whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, an ambivert, whatever type of vert you are, you can always set those communication boundaries. Perhaps I have goals, like I want to go
Hmm.
into an event and maybe I just want to talk to five people. Maybe that's my goal for the night. And once I talk to those five people, then I'm out of here. Um, you can also set limits on what you want to talk about, right? And
Hmm.
not that, again, not that introversion means shy, but perhaps some things require a little bit more energy from you. And if
Hmm.
you don't feel like having those conversations, set boundaries around the topics and the things that you want to talk about. um yeah, I think that it's perfectly acceptable to set communication boundaries however they may look to protect your energy.
Okay.
I think
So
it's encouraged. People always should protect their energy in all environments.
correct. So, why, I guess I would say, why do people seem to mix the two up, shy and introvert? Because,
Mm,
one person is just shy, is like they have a shell around them now. I guess they don't really want to speak. And one, it's like, I can speak, but I don't really want to speak. I don't want to
mhm,
interact. Like,
mhm.
why do people seem to, intertwine across them to like kind of mix them up?
Yeah. I think it's just misunderstanding. I think a lot of people don't truly understand what the definition of introvert really is.
Hmm.
And then also for that person, you said something in that statement just there that, maybe it's not that I can't talk, it's that, I don't want to. Well, a lot of people, and you can be an introvert or extrovert and be introspective. You can be the type of person that you have to think before you want to, say something outwardly or, engage in a conversation. Maybe you like to just process information internally. So I think it's just a misunderstanding of what the definition of some of these things is, and it's nothing wrong with that. That's why, people like myself are setting the record straight and letting you know introversion is not a bad thing.
Right.
Because I think in a lot of areas, a lot of spaces, people use the term introvert as if it's a deficit. And it's not a deficit. It's simply, how you engage with the external world around you.
Okay, so personally to you, how did your introvertness shape your strengths and challenges?
Mm. Yeah, that's a great question. So introversion uh, didn't shape my strengths or me leaning into my strengths until later in my life. I
Okay.
think it posed a little bit more challenges for me because the reality is there's a large percentage of the world that are extroverts.
Hmm.
And it's particularly, I come from the corporate world.
Hmm.
The corporate is full of extroverts. And
Right.
so I think what happens is when we're growing up and we're choosing these careers to go into, we don't think about
Hmm.
how introversion or extroversion or any of uh, our psychological personality traits are going to play into our career. And so if we go into corporate, we want to make money and we want to climb the corporate ladder. We don't recognize that corporate is a very extroverted world. And
Right.
so an introvert has to really learn how to navigate that world. And we have to learn how to be, maybe more self-promoting, right? And so if we're trying to go out for an assignment, a project, a team, something like that, an extrovert will be raising their hands all day long and they'll be talking to all of the people. They'll be building relationships, making connections, going to all the networking events, while the introvert is like, all right, I've done my work for the day. I'm ready to go home because I'm just exhausted. I'm
Hmm.
mentally, emotionally exhausted. I've done my work. And so the extrovert seems to get all those promotions and all of the, relationships and all of the things. Whereas the introvert didn't do anything bad necessarily, but their energy was like, I can't go to these happy hours after work every single day. And so they get a little bit forgotten about. And I think me personally, that was my story. That was my journey, where I wasn't the type of person that was building all of the relationships, talking to all of the people, and doing all of the things that an extrovert would do. And so I got somewhat forgotten in my career. And I had to learn over the years as I was climbing the ladder, like, this is not working for me anymore. And I had to learn more extroverted traits and more extroverted skills in order to put myself in positions where I can continue to progress in my career. And so challenges are, is something that we got to face. And then when we learn this is no longer working for us, then we got to find a way to navigate our way around some of those challenges.
Mm, that's a good answer. So, a person outside of yourself that you were just talking to, so how could they align like their career and their life choices with their strength, with their introverted strengths?
Mm. I would say, one, you gotta recognize your strengths, right? And I think we have a good idea of the things
Hmm.
that we're good at and the things that we're strong at. But I think it really takes a level of self-awareness. It really takes a level of deep self-discovery. And
Hmm.
whether you do that on your own, whether you work with a coach, whether you work with a therapist, somebody to help you unpack things that you might not even think about because it's just not at the top of your mind. It's not at the surface of your everyday thought process. So I'll say that first. Like, you really have to do some deep discovery to really recognize what your true strengths are. And then once you discover those, it becomes a little bit easier as an introvert to lean into the things that you're really good at, because yeah, I might not be the person who wants to self promote and go to all the networking events and happy hours and all the things after work. However, I'm really strong at XYZ and I can learn how to sell myself on these things that I'm really, really, really strong at. And so you lean on the things that you're strong at, and then the things that are a little bit weaker for you, you learn how to navigate those things.
Okay, so that would be career wise. So now you bring this introvertness into a personal relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So how would that person influence the way that they love and affect, their introversion?
Mm. So the person that you're in a relationship with, or an introvert themselves?
Introvert themselves.
Well, I think that so how you love somebody, how you show affection to somebody has nothing to do with whether you're an introvert or an extrovert.
Okay.
And so, somebody could, let me give you an example. Somebody can be an outward extrovert in social friendships, in their career, in all aspects of their lives, but they could be very, maybe intimately timid, right?
Right.
Maybe there's somebody who is just, I don't like to outwardly show affection. It could be somebody who doesn't like to show PDA and those types of things. And so, what I would say is, you have to find a partner that is in sync with you. And so if you're somebody who isn't outwardly affectionate, then
Hmm.
maybe having a partner who also isn't outwardly affectionate, where you have a deeper kind of affection, where you understand one another, whether it's your communication, whether it's just personal in the bedroom type of connection. Maybe you don't show PDA and things like that. So I would say in a romantic relationship, it's all about finding somebody who you're aligned with and somebody that you're in sync with.
Okay, so you spoke communication. So
Hmm.
with being that introvert, you may need alone time. How do you communicate that?
Mm,
Because some people may think, oh, your alone time is you just,
mm,
pushing me away. You just don't want to be around me. But how do I get my partner to understand, like, yo, I really need this alone time?
hmm. Just the way you said it. Just the way you said it. You literally have to be crystal clear. And I'm always going to talk about crystal clear communication because I'm also a marriage and family therapist. And I tell partners all the time, you have to be crystal clear with your partner. Nobody's a mind reader.
Right.
And so if your partner is feeling like, oh, you just don't want to be around me, that partner also has to say, I feel like you don't want to be around me right now.
Right.
And then that'll allow that introvert to say, no, honey, it's not that I don't want to be around you. I've been around people at work all day and I just need to recharge my battery a little bit. I just need some alone time. And once you have that clear communication and that dialect and the understanding of each other, uh, challenges subside.
Okay. So now we go back to that point where you're saying you need the alone time, but it doesn't go quite as crystal clear.
Hmm.
Like a person may think you're trying to withdraw from conflict. Like,
Hmm.
how would that impact the relationship? It's not crystal clear. It's just,
Hmm.
do I tend to withdraw from conflict? Like, how does that impact my relationship?
Hmm. I mean, what if you're the type of person in a relationship who does withdraw from conflict,
Hmm.
then I think it's going to be challenging when it comes to the point where you're trying to express to your partner, this is not what's happening in this moment right now. I just need some alone time. It can be a little bit more challenging. I would say, one, overcome that conflict avoidant tendency,
Hmm.
because no good comes out of being conflict avoidant. And being somebody who's not conflict avoidant does not mean that you're always looking for arguments. It does not mean that you're always looking to be right. It doesn't mean that you're always looking to pick a fight. It
Hmm.
just means let's talk about this and let's overcome it versus me trying to shell away or go to my room or ignore it or sweep it under the rug. All it says is let's talk about it. So I would encourage everybody to overcome being conflict avoidant, even if it's a challenge for you. There's a lot of people who, I use a tool called the Enneagram. A lot of people don't know what that is. But one of the types within the Enneagram, one of the personality types is conflict avoidant. And again, it takes a lot of self discovery. It takes a lot of understanding to know I have this tendency to be conflict avoidant, and I have to have a conscious awareness to not fall into that hole of being conflict avoidant. I have to be able to talk about stuff and tell my partner exactly what's going on for me. And then hopefully the partner is able to understand what's going on with you.
Okay. So I guess that would say I would need my partner to support, my solitude for me.
Absolutely.
That this is what I need. I need you to support this is what I'm going through. So you said you're a marriage counselor. So how
Mhm.
much do you see with this? Like, I'm kind of withdrawing, I'm pulling back, but it's not on purpose. It's just because I need to uh protect my peace and my energy right now. Like, how often do you see that?
So I don't see that very often, but what I do see is the biggest issue with couples is communication.
Okay.
Is couples just, they really don't know how to communicate with one another of what's going on with them. Um, I do see couples where one partner might withdraw, but typically it's because something else is going on and not that they're trying to avoid conflict or not because they're just not in the relationship anymore. Most of the time, if they're withdrawing, it's because something else is going on. Maybe it was a conflict that happened a while ago that they were never able to resolve, and that person is still holding resentment from a previous disagreement that they were not able to get over, or they felt like their partner wasn't supportive of them, or they feel like, their partner just didn't respect their boundaries, or whatever the case may be. And it's more the resentment that's causing the withdrawal than, being an introvert or being somebody who just needs time and space, or even being conflict avoidant. That's not typically what causes withdrawal.
Okay, I said I wasn't gonna bring men into this because this is about women's self mastery,
Hey, you
and
can bring the
so
men into it. I
and
like
it's
talking about
no,
men.
I don't want to bring them in here because I said this is going to be strictly about the women today. So, with the women's self mastery, as far
Yeah.
as like they mind, emotions, and actions through self
Yes.
awareness and discipline and emotional intelligence,
Yes.
what beliefs or thought patterns are holding them back sometime for reaching their full potential?
The biggest one is probably self-doubt. That's the biggest thought that I think women struggle with. Um, and it comes from a lot of different places. Self-doubt can be learned from people, telling them that they're not good enough, whether it's a partner, a parent, grandparent, friends, whatever the case may be. Somebody may tell them in so many words, maybe not as direct as I'm saying it right now, but if you've heard that you're not good enough, then that's a learned thought. And it also comes from a lack of self-esteem or self-worth can also make you doubt your abilities and not be able to step into your potential.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of things. And again, I think self awareness, self mastery, and personal growth is so incredibly important because all of those things will get uncovered in the process of doing a little bit of self discovery. But typically, the biggest thing is probably self doubt, and confidence and fear and all those other things all fall under self doubt.
So, how can you, when you said purpose and growth, so the passions, how can they actually align with their purpose?
Mm. Well, I guess the first thing is understanding like what it was you was put on this planet to do, right?
Right.
I started my career I'm a veteran, so I actually started my career in the military. But when I got out the military, I went into corporate, and it wasn't for me. I didn't understand what my purpose was at that time. The
Hmm.
thing that kind of shaped me understanding what my purpose was and what I was put on this planet to do is when I started facilitating.
Hmm.
And I realized that the way in which I help people and the way in which people understand what I'm trying to convey to them,
Hmm.
I recognized that it was really powerful. And I got a lot of people who would send me emails and they would just, say that I really changed their life in a powerful way. And I was like, well, dang, there's something here. Like, you know,
Right.
I was meant to do this. And so finding your purpose, it just requires exploration. So getting out there and trying different things, and seeing what resonates for you. You don't have to stay stuck
Right.
somewhere because you feel like that's the place that you are supposed to be, right? I walked away from my corporate career.
Well, some
I,
people get comfortable.
a lot of people get comfortable. A lot of people get comfortable, but you have to. Here's what you have to do. You have to think about comfort or passion. Like which one means more to me? Like, do I want to just stay in this status quo and in this space that makes me feel comfortable, or do I want to do something that actually brings me joy?
Correct. So, okay, so how do you get someone to basically say what the fears that may hold them back from stepping into that power?
Mhm. I mean, I think personally, nobody is going to change. Man, woman, child, nobody in the world is going to change if they are not uncomfortable enough.
Right.
Right. And so, if you feel like things that you really want to do and your fears are holding you back, your fears have to make you uncomfortable enough where you're just like, I really, really, really want this thing, but I'm afraid of doing it. But you wanting that thing is far more important to you than the fears, then that's when you'll enter into a stage of growth. But if it's a thing where you're like, yeah, I would like to do this, like I would like to be a public speaker, I'm a little bit afraid of it, but it's not something that I think is going to change my life, then you're going to live underneath that rock of fear. You have to really be at a stage where what you want is like fear is no longer an option, fear is no longer an answer for me.
Well, fear sometimes doesn't become an option or it doesn't hold you back. Sometimes it could be procrastination and distractions.
1000%. 1000%. And those are, you know what, distractions and procrastination is often more mentally challenging for us than even fear, because fear we can kind of rationalize why we have this fear and
Mhm.
what could possibly go wrong. So let me talk about stepping out and becoming an entrepreneur, right?
Mhm.
So you can be like, I really want to be an entrepreneur. I really want to leave my job. I really want to do this thing. But I'm so afraid that I won't get no clients. I won't be able to make money. I'll lose my house, won't be able to pay my mortgage, won't be able to feed my family. That's a real fear. Like that is
Mhm.
a real fear. But if you're procrastinating and if you are just, following the next fancy thing, the next trends that are out there, and you're getting distracted by all of these other things that's taking you away from your main goal,
Mhm.
then that's going to sit there and that's going to be, you're going to ruminate over that. You're going to think about it all the time. And you're going to say, why do I keep doing this to myself? Why do I keep doing this to myself? So, yeah, distractions, procrastination, perfectionism, all of those types of things are even more mentally disturbing to us than fear because we can rationalize our fear. We can't rationalize the things that we're doing to ourselves that's holding us back.
Well, you rationalizing with fear, but now my emotions come in. Now I'm put in a
Mhm.
difficult situation. So
Mhm.
normally, um, you could be doing this thing for a long time, and soon as something hits you back, you kind of revert back to what you used to.
That
Everybody got
comfort
a
zone.
yeah, comfort zone. Like Mike Tyson said, everybody got a game plan until you get hit.
Mhm.
So how do I manage myself through these different emotional situations when this occur?
Listen, I mean, that's just one of those things where you got to remind yourself, right? You got to remind yourself of your why. And, I say that as somebody who I left a very lucrative corporate career to be a full time entrepreneur. And there are months where, business owners, we sit back and we think, like, why did I do this?
Mhm.
Like, why did I do this? But you got to remember your why because it will take you on an emotional journey. You will sit there and be like, oh my God, I need to start putting my resume back out there and I need to start going back to work. And then you sit back and you sit back and after you panic, then you sit back and you're like, all right, it's time for me to put my game face back on because I remember my why. And so I think managing your emotional journey first starts with recognizing that you're going through this emotional journey, right? And
Right.
knowing that it's normal, knowing that we're going to do it, and then just saying, I'm human. Nobody's perfect. Nobody is going to sit here and be on the straight and narrow all the time. We just have to be like, listen, you're getting beside yourself right now. You got everything that it takes to do this, and you did this for a reason. That's how you start to manage it. Is just remember your why and lean back into what took you to the place that you wanted to be in the first place.
So out of all that, so we went through introvert,
Mhm.
self mastery. So now you have to have the self awareness to know your personal growth and allowing yourself to understand your emotions and thoughts and behaviors to make these correct choices to live in your purpose or live authentically.
Absolutely.
So when someone comes to you and they don't really know who they are, like how do you get them to understand who they are?
Yeah. So a lot of it is just coaching 101. It's just asking deep, insightful questions. But the other part of it is I use tools and I use assessments. So I use a narrative type assessment to help people understand their values because I think everybody thinks that they know what they value. I think if I asked anybody, what do you value? They'll be like family, I value security. Like they'll come up with the things that I think are self-preservation things. Like these are things that we need and we love, but are these
Right.
things that really that we value. And then I also use a tool called the Enneagram. And so I help people understand their core drivers, their core motivators, and their core weaknesses and their core fears.
I think I looked that up earlier. I just can't find what tab I put it on. Good to see you that
Mhm.
was when I was going through your stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is the biggest important thing, the most important question, because we live in an age of social media. We live in everything has to be seen. And with self-awareness, how do you understand who you are when no one's watching?
That's all about that internal deep discovery, right? It
Right.
Listen, social media, like we have to recognize that social media is social. Like, it's not reality. It's, people put out there what they want you to see. They put out there the best versions of themselves. And so we got to not be distracted by social media, and we got to understand that everybody faces challenges. Everybody has a shadow side. Everybody has things that they're struggling with. Everybody's struggle might be a little bit different, but everybody has a struggle. And so I think just remembering that allows us to get a little bit deeper and a little bit more vulnerable so that we can grow internally. Because listen, self-awareness, self-discovery, personal
Mhm.
growth, it's a personal experience. It's not for everybody online. I mean, they'll see the evolution, they'll see the transformation, they'll see the growth. They'll see you
Right.
as a more joyful person, but they don't have to be a part of your process. Your process is your process. Just stay off of other people's social media, and comparison is the thief of joy.
Well, that's the thing, though. Everybody is that day and as is this day and age now. Everything is comparable now. It's like you feel as though you could be 25 and this person lives on 40 acres in the mule, but you're
Mhm.
25, still living in an apartment. So you become depressed because you're not feeling like this is. I'm not where I'm supposed to be at with this person. And a lot of people don't understand. You got everybody has a gift. Just don't open the gift up too early.
Yes,
That's the main thing. Everybody's running the same race, but everybody's not going to finish the same. And
absolutely.
your journey is not the same as mine, and my journey is not the same as yours. You might have got there 30, I got there 35. I mean, people have to look at it like Oprah didn't get where she was at until she got what in the mid 30s, close to 40s.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I think what I'm trying to say is nobody wants to go through the journey. Everybody wants the finished product.
Yeah, that's 1,000% true. Everybody wants the end state. Nobody wants to go through the journey. Nobody wants to go through the path. But listen, it's required. It's mandatory. Like, we all got to do it. I've gone through so many, like, the evolution of my career. I went through so many different things. I didn't even become a therapist until I was past the age of 40. So
Mm.
it's like, it's never too late to start something new. It's never too late to discover yourself. It's never too late to explore what your passion is. You don't have to know your passion at 25. I don't think anybody does. And if you sitting here looking on social media and you think that somebody has figured out their passion and their life purpose at the age of 25, then you really need to get off of social media.
Which is true because that's what everybody thinks. They say if it's not on social media, it's not real.
Right.
And people only, and again, like you said earlier, people only let you know what they want you to know on
Yeah.
there. Everybody's got a perfect husband, everybody's a perfect wife, kids ain't bad, everybody's rich,
Mhm.
everybody's doing well. No, some of you got eviction notices,
Yeah.
turn off notices. It's,
Absolutely.
it's life.
Arguing with their partner all day, every day. But then when a birthday rolls around, they'll post the pictures of this loving, happy family. Listen, social media is out there for people to see your representative. It's for people to see, the you that you want to put out into the world. And it's nothing wrong with that. But let's not let it affect our lives. If that's what they want to do, let them do it. But don't be distracted by the facade that's online.
Oh man. Well, thank you for coming through. We reached our
Mhm.
threshold and giving us things about self mastery, self
Mhm.
awareness, and introvertism. I think that's a word.
Let's make it one today. It's all good.
Introversion. So
Yeah.
thank you. If anybody's looking for Miss Ramsey, they can catch her on mahoganyycc.com. Oh, I have her Instagram up. Mahogany underscore CC is her Instagram. So if you have any questions for or you just want to follow her, mahogany underscore CC or mahoganycc.com is where you can find all her social media handles at the bottom of the page. So thank you for coming. Thank you for
Thank you for
taking
having
time
me
off of
on.
your day.
Yeah.
And um, we'll be back at our normal time next week. Next Wednesday, we got an author coming through, Ariel J. Scott, talking about her views of a book called My Views of My Father. It's about um damn, I lost my train of thought. It's about everything that happened when her father stepped away and how she became the woman today. So next week, 7 p.m., same channel, same platform. If you missed the show today, you can always run it back on YouTube. If not, you can get the audio version on all platforms tomorrow afternoon. So thank you again for coming through Unfiltered Tales today. Thank you again, Miss Candice.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. So